Hey legends, how y'all doing? It's Mike, the guy late to every pop culture party. In this video, I want to react to a video made by the YouTuber Toonnish. Is how to write black characters. So to start off, I've seen this video already. However, there are some points in here I just want to personally contest because I agree with certain points in here, but there are some things that I want to give a potential other's perspective on. Let's get straight into it.
I am so tired of seeing black characters in media written in the most stereotypical ways possible. And it's always the same played out stereotypes recycled over and over again. A lot of the times in TV shows, cartoons, and movies, black characters are only allowed to exist in one specific lane. Look at Andre's grandma in Victorious, Dejanay from the Proud Family, Ivy from Good Luck Charlie, Lashana from Total Drama Island. I could honestly keep going. The list is long, and that alone should tell you something. When you look at these characters, the question isn't just who they are, it's what they're being reduced to. What behaviors are consistently being assigned to them? What role are they always being pushed into? A lot of the time, these characters are written to be loud, obnoxious, overly sassy, undesirable, or exaggerated to the point of a caricature. The way they speak, the way they move, the way that they react in an over-exaggerated way that feels less like a personality and more like a performance. I'm so over it. At this point, I'm genuinely starting to question whether or not the writers are being blatantly racist, or if they truly believe that this is how all black people behave. And honestly, it's probably a combination of both. But also, it could just be ignorance because these tropes are so common in media. Writers believe that this is the right way to write a black character. But regardless, this way of writing black characters is not okay. And whenever I discuss topics like this, some people love to say things like, well, these stereotypes exist for a reason, or we all know black people that act just like that. And that mindset is exactly why these portrayals keep happening. That mindset is what convinces people that these narrow depictions are accurate. It's what makes writers believe that this is the correct and only way to write black characters. And it's what feeds black people lies about who we're supposed to be. That mindset is harmful, period. So if you're getting ready to type something like that, or if you're getting ready to say it's not that deep, then this video is not for you. But if you clicked on this video because you genuinely want to understand how black characters are written, why these portrayals are damaging, and how to do better, then keep watching. Because
Okay. Now, oh, she's laid a good foundation. She's laid a good foundation. The first thing I would want to say is that yes, the first thing I would have said is I know people who act like this. So and to me, this is probably a controversial belief, but to me, a caricature or a stereotype to me is it in my mindset is it offensive if it's true. If for example, it can be a harmful stereotype thinking that all black people will eat and love watermelon because I'll eat watermelon, but I don't like watermelon flavored everything. I don't like watermelon flavored Jolly Ranchers. I don't like watermelon flavored juice. I don't like at most I don't even watermelon is by no means my favorite fruit. So I get that. And fried chicken as well. I love fried chicken, of course. So, oh, so are there black people who do love watermelon fried chicken? Yes. Yes. Do all of us love it? No. Oh, do all black people love hot sauce? Us. Not me personally. I can't take spice for nothing. And now, one thing that said one thing that I take fault with out the gate is that at Toonnish in this Toonnish so far, it's the title is how to write black characters. Yet she's starting off the video, say pointing out pointing out black girls specifically, which is why I feel almost that this video should have been said how to write black girls. Because if you're going to say black characters, to me it makes sense you would also include black boys as well. Well, in this example of negative stereotypes pushed. And at least I have a specific counter argument for Lashana in Total Drama Island. for Lashana and Total Drama Island for me, E. Let me at least find that specific bit right here. Lashana, when she lashes out at someone, it's typically somebody who is being disrespectful, mean, or out of pocket, as it were. Or she lashes out at people who have it coming. And most often, as you'll see throughout this video that Toonnish uses for clips, is Heather. Heather is one of the biggest crap talkers in the whole show. One of the biggest backstabbing, cheating, liars in the whole show. So having Lashana be there to put Heather in her place, one, is cathartic and hilarious as heck, and two, to me, is deserved. Because Lashana doesn't lash out at just anyone. She doesn't lash out at anyone and everyone just to be antagonistic. She specifically lashes out at people who lashed out or were rude first, including this scene here, So for me, Lashana is an example. Is not to me, Lashana is a bit of a stretch because her personality is used to combat at rude, abusive behavior. Or because there is these people do exist, and there are places and situations where that personality is useful, where that personality is helpful for others. All right, let me get back to where I was.
Imaging and how to do better, then keep watching. Because writing black characters really doesn't have to be complicated. And once you start paying attention to how different characters are written and treated in media, then a problem becomes impossible to ignore. And that's where we need to start. I know I talk about Dejanay a lot when it comes to this topic, but that's genuinely because she's one of the clearest examples of how black characters, especially dark-skinned black characters, are written to embody the same recycled stereotypes over and over again in media. Dejanay is constantly being framed as fake, untrustworthy, selfish, loud, and obnoxious. She's known for backstabbing her friends, crossing boundaries, and being inconsiderate. And while other characters on the show have their own flaws, her flaws are emphasized, exaggerated, and repeatedly highlighted in a way that makes them feel defining. And it's not just about what she does, it's about how the show presents her. From her character design to the way that other characters respond to her, there's a clear effort to paint her as undesirable. The audience is meant to laugh at her, cringe at her, and dismiss her. Even the way her romantic interest is written reinforces that idea. Dejanay chases after Sticky, a boy who's constantly written to be irritated by her presence, embarrassed by her attention, and outright disgusted by her. And that dynamic isn't treated as sad or concerning, it's played for laughs.
And I agree, that's true. But then I also, in that same vein, I have to ask about equivalents of that like Panini and Chowder's dynamic in Chowder, because that was absolutely played for laughs. But it's the fact that they also, unlike a Proud Family Louder and Prouder, where Sticky couldn't return to the show, where instead Chowder ended up with Panini with basically just because, almost like in the finale, it was almost a just because. They didn't really have yes, they had moments where they bonded. They had moments where they had somewhat of an understanding, but they never got to a point of where Chowder had mutual feelings towards its Panini. Then I also have to, of course, use the example Pepe Le Pew, who in his cartoons, or Total Drama World Tour. Oh my goodness, I'm trying to remember her name. Like Cody and oh man, of course I forget her name now. I'll put it in the comments. I'll put it in the comment section of who I'm thinking of. But in Total Drama World Tour, Cody is followed by this black girl with kind of fuchsia-ish hair, and she is a stalker. To a disturbing degree. So, my question is that, Toonnish, how do you feel about that dynamic in Total Drama World Tour? Like we're saying that you're saying that was a problem in Total Drama Island, but that behavior in Total Drama World Tour is okay? Like, I'm genuinely curious. Is that how you feel? Anyway, let's keep going.
Her rejection is part of the joke, and that matters. This quote unquote humor comes from the idea that Dejanay is laughable. Her desires are laughable, her confidence is laughable, and her overall presence is laughable. And that pattern extends to her mannerisms as well. Her behavior is over exaggerated in ways that mirrors how black characters have been animated and written for decades. The exaggerated neck rolling, the dramatic hand movements, the loud reactions, and the over the top expressions.
Yo, that guy, we ordered you to cool it. Seen your hot date Jasmine lately?
I told you. What did I tell you? I
told you. I'm sorry. I remember these clips from Family Guy, and they still get me laughing every time. I'm sorry. They get me laughing every time because to me they're hilarious. I'm sorry.
These traits show up again and again across media, especially when it comes to black characters. And more often than not, dark-skinned black women and girls. And when you see those same mannerisms repeated across different shows, different networks, and different areas, it stops feeling like a coincidence and it starts to feel intentional. These traits are used as a visual and behavior cue to tell the audience exactly how they're supposed to feel about these characters, before they even get a chance to speak. And that's the issue. Dejanay isn't written as a flawed character who sometimes messes up. She's simply written as a flawed character. The one whose negative traits are constant, whose growth is limited, and whose humanity is rarely given the same care as the other characters around her. And when you zoom out, you realize that this isn't just about Dejanay. She's part of a much larger pattern where black characters are repeatedly assigned these same roles, these same traits, and the same narrative purpose. They exist to be loud, to be messy, to be the joke, to be undesirable, to be tolerated instead of valued. And when this portrayal shows up once, it might be able to be brushed off. But when it shows up across multiple shows,
now once more, this is like it's another instance of where I'm conflicted at Toonnish using the word black characters and not black girls because you're focusing on black girls as the center of this argument. If you're going to say this is a common thing among black characters, also give black boy examples. Well, I am certain there are, or in media. Just have it be equal.
Across multiple generations and across multiple networks, it stops being an isolated character choice and starts becoming a statement about how black people are viewed. So the real question is why? Why are these the traits that keeps getting assigned to black characters? Why are these the behaviors
now, hold on. Myron right here. Myron right here. I would okay, I'll give some tropes of black boys that are in common in media. The nerd, or the black nerd with big glasses, is who's into D&D, either D&D, coding, video games, stuff like that. That is something that at least to me, depending on how it's depicted, can be seen as a negative stereotype or harmful. Another one would be black boys wanting to be criminal. It was thugs, drug dealers, etc. That too, or in modern society, the black community hyping up young boys to be pimps or to want full-grown women despite them being under 15 years old. It's like they can't be just kids anymore, or so it's like, and then for wanting to be loud, the exaggerated poses and stuff. We mainly focus on animation with select live action depictions. Now I need to also ask about. Then I also need to ask. Okay, obviously, I'm not saying Toonnish should have or will have seen all these shows I'm about to mention, but I also have to give examples of depictions of black people in media where it's a multitude and it's spread across multiple characters, like the Cosby Show. Okay, the Cosby Show, Lil Bill, the Steve Harvey Show, Martin. Let's see, Different World, Living Single, The Jeffersons, Sanford and Son. Let's see. There's goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to. Ah, I'm forgetting one. It's right on the tip of my. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Junior, and his dynamite. I can't remember the name of the show for the life of me. I'm sorry, y'all. But like, there are shows where these exuberant there are these characters that are exuberant out there, and it's been in here for decades, and I agree with that. But it's also that it's been depicted in shows, but to it can be used as a starting point to grow into a better character. The Bernie Mac show with oh my goodness, dang it, I think Vanessa, I believe. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting people's names. For example, the Bernie Mac show has Jordan, who goes from a nerd he remains a nerd throughout the show, but he grows a bit. He grows throughout the show. He grows more to be slightly less of, as termed, a crybaby or a imp, into a better character. And Vanessa goes from being the typical black girl with sass, disrespect, and stuff, going from that to being more respectable, being her own character, while she still has certain aspects of that character traits that she had at the start. It changed by the end of the show. By the end of the show, well, you could see that Vanessa has grown as a character. And then I also have to say, like then I have to say, real life, like, celebrities, like like Chris Rock, Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, or Bernie Mac. Heck, man, in some ways, like Michael Jordan, like Michael B. Jordan. I mean, like, there are these characters who do these. Will Smith, who have played characters, like Fresh Prince of Bel Air, where they're spread across with characters who are rambunctious, out there, yeah, yeah, like, where they have these out there personalities, where they want to be loud when they want to be, or they are loud, and stuff like that. So and of course I'm focusing around male characters, but uh, so it is something long standing. This is long standing, but it's also something that, if you're trying to say that, I don't think it should stop, but it needs to, in a way, it should decrease. It shouldn't show up as often, but I don't think it should stop. I don't think it should stop, per se. Or obviously Tyler Perry movies, especially Medea movies,
Black people are viewed. So the real question is why? Why are these the traits that keeps getting assigned to black characters? Why are these the behaviors that writers default to? And why is it that when black characters are written, they're often filtered through stereotypes instead of just being treated as full individuals? Those are the questions we need to be asking. When white characters are written, I highly doubt that writers are sitting around overthinking about how to make them fit into some stereotype or an idea of what a white person is supposed to be. They're usually just writing a character that happens to be white. White characters are treated as the default. And because of
Mostly because people making these characters, we live, like, the country we live in the society we live in. Yes, white is the default. A big example would be how, for example, in interviews, who Stan Lee said when he was making a new character, what he based it on his environment, and since his environment was mostly all white people, he just made white characters. So when he took effort to make Black Panther, for example, he knew he had to approach that differently.
that they're allowed to simply exist as characters and individuals. They get to have a wide range of personalities, values, flaws, strengths, looks, and interests. And that's exactly why white audiences are able to see so many positive and varied representations of themselves in media. The majority of white characters aren't written through a stereotypical lens. So they get heroes, villains, outgoing characters, introverts, geniuses, comic relief, love interests, background characters, and main characters on a regular basis. They get to have balance on a regular basis. No single white character is ever expected to represent all white people because there are so many different portrayals.
I disagree with that point. I disagree with that point because of the specific example of superhero team or whether it be superhero fantasy etc. team trio of 3, 2 boys 1 girl, or the team of 5 and 1 or 2 girls on the team. If that is like that, whether it be white women or not, typically in those kinds of scenarios, like if you take DC's big 3, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman tends to have to carry the shoulders is to represent all women at once. And that arguably ain't fair because I think you specifically mean when you're approaching white male characters. White male characters, yes, they can be anyone, anything. But arguably a white woman or white girl, well, especially if in a cast of mainly guys, this girl has to represent. They have to typically represent all women at once, which is a lot to ask. And I would, as a reference, I would probably point to Overly Sarcastic Productions video, her detailed diatribe or trope talk on the heart, like being the heart of the team, where it goes slightly deeper into how typically the heart of a 5-man band is a woman, and she tends to represent all women in one fell package.
Across TV shows, cartoons, and movies. It's never just one type of character. It's a full catalog of character types on a regular basis. On the other hand, most black characters in media are written to be one specific way on a regular basis. Instead of being written as individuals, they're often written through stereotypes. Many black characters are constructed to fit a narrow set of recurring tropes. And those same tropes get recycled over and over and over again across different shows, movies, and cartoons. It's the same portrayals repeated again and again and again. And that repetition is harmful. And this isn't me saying that there aren't black people who act in some of these ways. That's not the argument. The issue is that these behaviors are not unique to just black people. Traits like being aggressive, sassy, loud, or always being the comic relief exist for people of all races. There are plenty non-black people who act the same exact way. But for some reason, those traits are disproportionately assigned to black characters as if they are inherently black traits. And that's where the harm comes in. Even if some people do fit certain traits, it doesn't stop there. Even if some black people do fit certain traits, it doesn't just stop there. That isn't the full picture. So why is it that media so often stops there? Why are black characters constantly being portrayed in such limiting ways? And just to go back and reiterate, I'm not saying that people with these types of personalities don't exist. They do. That's not the point. The point is the undeniable pattern in media that repeatedly places these traits onto black characters, and most of the time onto dark-skinned black characters specifically. And if you don't see a problem with that, then that's part of what keeps these negative stereotypes alive. These portrayals push the idea that certain behaviors are tied to dark-skinned black people, when in reality, people of all races and skin tones can have these same traits, and they do. So again, why do they keep getting written into the same characters over and over again? If you want one of your characters to have this kind of personality in your show, that's fine. The problem comes in when that character is almost always the black character, or more specifically, the dark-skinned black character. A way to change this is to spread those traits around. Let different characters have them. Show that these behaviors aren't tied to one specific race or skin tone. And when writing black characters, allow there to be black characters of different skin tones who all have different personalities. And stop making the dark-skinned black character, the one that always carries the negative traits. That sends a damaging message. And for people like me, who looks like these characters and have their same skin complexion, it's exhausting and disheartening to constantly see ourselves portrayed in media in the same negative and stereotypical way. These portrayals send a false message. They suggest that all black people are the same, that we all behave the same, that we all fit into this one narrow image. When viewers consume this kind of media over and over again, these portrayals start to feel like the truth. Repetition turns these stereotypes into something that people accept as reality. Audiences begin to internalize these depictions as the one and only accurate representation of black people in real life. And the stereotype
I would almost want to counter that again with the shows that I mentioned like Martin and Everybody Hates Chris, Steve Harvey Show, the Cosby Show, oh, like TV shows that have a multitude of black characters. There's different personalities for each. Like Livy's single again, like the ones that I mentioned. Like there are shows that have or do blackish, grownish, mixedish. They have black characters. There's multitude to spread character traits. It's among others. Or at Abbott Elementary as another example. Like there have been and are shows that have multiple black characters, and these traits are spread out. I agree that it needs to improve, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
types continue to spread beyond the screen. People start to look at real black people through the same lens that they've been shown in media. And
Which is true. But I also have to like I also have to point out something. Like because to me this also opens a slippery slope. The reason this opens a slippery slope is like you can have a character or a black character do be the most upright, upstanding character or citizen they can be. And then when they make a mistake, even if it's a common one, you will have the people who immediately point the finger and say, see, all black people are the same, when that's not true. A big example be, at least to me, would be Ironheart from the recent Ironheart series. Everyone immediately pointed to Ironheart, claiming she was from the hood when that's not where she's from. When she went back to Chicago, she's not from the hood, and then saying that her joining the crew committing theft was a stereotypical thing with black people, when it's like yes, black people are known for crime, but it's like other people do, other characters do this. Ant-Man previously in the MCU was literally a criminal and went back to stealing the second things got bad. So it's not strictly a black thing, even though it is commonly referred to as one. So at least to me, I feel Riri Williams, got a big backhand or short end of the stick. It won by the audience. It's watching it. Certain people in the audience watching it, because they were ready to point at negative black stereotypes with her when it wasn't fair. When it wasn't fair to do so, and her being showing overconfidence, in sassiness, quippiness, that in many ways was sort of like a facade or a shield to hide from the fear of not being able to control things. Tony Stark, in some ways, did it too. After Avengers and after Age of Ultron, after Scarlet Witch got in his head, in some ways he did use his bravado as a shield, as a shade for his feet to hide what he was afraid of.
Cycle doesn't just stop there. When viewers decide that they want to create their own shows, movies, or cartoons, they often look back at what they've already seen. They use those stereotypical portrayals as reference, or they take the stereotypes that they learn from media and treat them as factual. Then they write all of their black characters the same way, falling into the same harmful patterns and repeating the cycle over and over again. And this creates a self-perpetuating loop where stereotypes keep getting passed down instead of challenged. Black children are especially harmed by this. Kids naturally look for characters that they can identify with. We all did. When we're young, watching shows or movies with a group of characters, we all imagine ourselves as one of them. We pick our favorites for a reason. Maybe a character wore your favorite color, maybe they shared the same hobby as you, or maybe they just reminded you of yourself. And a lot of the time, we gravitate towards the characters who physically look like us. But what happens when a character who looks like you is always a joke? What happens when they're constantly being portrayed as undesirable, loud, aggressive, or reduced to negative stereotypes about your culture? And what happens when you turn on another show, and another one, and another one, and another one, and you keep seeing the same images repeated again and again? What kind of message do you think that sends? Over time, that can cause a young black viewer to start to believe those things about themselves, even when it's not true. And that kind of messaging sticks with you, and it's unfair. We deserve better than that. We deserve positive representations of ourselves in media. We deserve black characters with a full range of personalities, emotions, strengths, flaws, interests, and humanity, not just one recycled image. So when people ask how to write a black character, the answer is really simple. You simply just write a full character who happens to be black. And there are characters who prove that this is possible, because we've already seen it done well. These characters step outside the narrow boxes that black characters are often forced into. They reflect care, thought, and intention in their writing.
About to give a list of characters that I would agree are written very very well and give a good representation. There's only one. Hey, I'll get to it.
Because of that, they give us the kind of representation that we deserve. Susie from the Rugrats is kind, confident, responsible, and nurturing. She often acts as a moral compass for the babies, and the people around her respect her for her intelligence, loyalty, and integrity. She isn't exaggerated for laughs or written as a punchline. She's allowed to be calm, compassionate, and strong.
I would say that oftentimes Angelica is written to be the punchline of a joke.
Represents leadership and empathy in a way that feels natural and affirming. Gerald from Hey Arnold is loyal, intelligent, brave, and socially aware. He frequently serves as the voice of reason, which speaks to how thoughtful and respected he is within his friend group. He's humorous and charismatic, but his humor never relies on caricature. His personality has layers, and he's treated as a whole person whose opinions matter. Doc McStuffins is a black girl with dreams of becoming a doctor, and she spends her time caring for others with patience, curiosity, and compassion. Her character places a black child in a role centered around intelligence, empathy, and healing. She's allowed to be gentle, capable, and aspirational, and that's powerful. Lunella from Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is brilliant, creative, and completely herself. She's a hero who's defined by her intellect, curiosity, and heart. Her story celebrates black excellence and culture without turning it into a spectacle, and she stands as an inspiration for young viewers who gets to see a black girl whose mind and individuality is her greatest strength. Craig from Craig of the Creek exists within the simplicity of childhood. His stories revolve around imagination, leadership, curiosity, and friendship. The show allows him to just be a kid, and it also weaves in black family life and community in a way that feels organic and respectful, rather than performative or exaggerated. Iridessa from Tinkerbell is intelligent, thoughtful, and dependable. She approaches problems with logic and care, often thinking ahead and considering the consequences. Her calm nature is treated as a strength instead of a flaw, and she's never exaggerated for comedy or reduced to stereotypes. She simply exists as a gentle, responsible, and capable character, making her a positive and affirming representation. Virgil from Static Shock is smart, determined, inventive, and socially conscious. He's a teenager figuring out life, friendship, school, and responsibility while balancing being a superhero. His growth, values, and choices define him. His black identity is present and meaningful, and is never used in a stereotypical way. Jodie from Daria is thoughtful, ambitious, and emotionally aware. She navigates high school with intelligence and composure, often grappling with race, pressure, and expectations in a way that feels grounded and honest. She's allowed to be vulnerable, but also has agency, showing that black girls can exist on screen as fully realized individuals. And lastly, Garnet from Steven Universe is a leader with emotional depth, wisdom, and agency. Her strength is rooted in self-love, self-assurance, and integrity. She carries herself with confidence, and her presence resonates deeply with audiences because she feels intentional, layered, and dignified.
Okay. All right. Garnet is the main one that okay. I feel like Garnet is a bit of a stretch. I feel like Garnet is a bit of a stretch because I feel this is almost a example of claiming a character as black coded because in many shots of the in angles and depending on how she's colored, she can look like a black character. When in other shots she looks more like the fuchsia pink purple. And I almost feel like a big reason would be one, her body figure and her hair. Now, is it all right? Like, I'm totally fine with black people and people watching the show identifying themselves in Guardian and seeing her as a role model. I am totally fine with that. And then, in obvious and as well, old Guardian's lips, if that is also a feature. But the main thing to me is that because Garnet is a fusion of a lesbian relationship between Ruby and Sapphire, and she is the amalgamation of those two together. I just I personally have personal doubts about claiming her as black, just as how while I get seeing Clark Kent, Kal-El Superman, and he embodies humanity, but I personally don't view him as a white man. I view him as a human and a Kryptonian who happens to look white. But I guess like because I tend to have an issue like wondering how to because I tend to view Garnet as a fusion and a crystal gem than as a black character. I don't view her as like I just have struggled identifying her as that. Same with identifying John Jones as a black character when he takes on a black man's face as a human when he's undercover, for example, or okay, and this one definitely is gonna be. This one's absolutely a controversial one. Icon from Milestone Comics. Icon from Milestone. Because he was an alien that took on the form of a black baby and was raised on a plantation and grew up during segregation times. That's a special case. That is a special case. I will give you that 100%. But, anyway, please, if someone wants to break it down for me, but please tell me in the comments. I just feel Garnet is a bit of a stretch.
Her presence resonates deeply with audiences because she feels intentional, layered, and dignified. These characters matter because they show nuance, and nuance is essential. What connects all of them is that they're written as individuals first. They're given space to have distinct personalities, motivations, and interests. They're not confined to one narrow.
Again, Garnet is a special case in this instance because not only is she her own character, but her fusion is its own arc and love story. That's Garnet is a special case. It's a special case.
Image. Seeing characters like this makes a difference. It allows Black viewers to see themselves reflected in a way that feels affirming. It pushes back on the idea that there is only one way for us to exist, speak, and behave. Where the other stereotypical portrayals flatten us to be one way, the way that these characters are portrayed expands on what's possible. And that's how you write a Black character. You simply allow them to exist. You simply allow them to be unique. And you simply write a full character who happens to be Black, where their identity and culture exist naturally, not.
All right, the video is about to end. So once
As a stereotype.
All right. So, I can agree with many points she made. I just had a few nitpicks here and there throughout the video. For like Okay, she gave 3 good examples of black male characters: Craig of the Creek, Vigil from Static Shock, and Gerald from Hey Arnold. My main request would be to give negative examples of black male stereotypes. Give me some examples so that it's fair, because this felt more of how to write black girls than how to write black characters. If you focused on black girls for the majority of the video and then brought up the black boys at the end and for good examples, well, at least to me. Anyway, hey, thank y'all legends so much for watching this video. What do you think? Do I have some good points, or am I totally wrong? Let me know down in the comments. Comment, like, subscribe, share this video. Hope you enjoyed it. React to my madness. Thank y'all so much for watching this video. Hype the video if I qualify for that. I'll see y'all in the next one. See y'all later.